I appreciate your company this morning. We're coming to you live from Akokumlemle Studios. We're also live on your DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144, on your digital television and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Let's start from the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, where firefighters from midnight struggled to contain an inferno which eyewitnesses say started from the Odona market. It's unclear whether there were any casualties as at now beyond the destruction of traders' wares running into thousands of CDs. But my colleague Benjamin Akakpo has been speaking to some of the traders who say many fire incidents have happened in the same market in the past.
Quelling the fire. We are getting wet, we're getting heated up, but we're still here with them, following all the action. So the scenes are still ongoing, the Ghana National Fire Service. In fact, you can see some of the people who trade here assisting the Ghana Fire Service. When you look there, the gentleman there, he's not a fire service officer. Be careful as we actually get a bit closer. A lot more smoldering going on there. In fact, if you come this way, you can see more flames still very much alive and burning. And here we are with some more people. Mommy, Pacho morning.
Good morning.
What Joy News? Now, Pacho, when you are oton yama ha?
Aye, me ton yama ewa ha say me shop ni.
Then I oton.
Me ton support champagne, any biscuits.
Ana, what store? And what you tell me?
Me ton.
It is say that you say bibiashe drebe.
Me bibiashe wa ha say. Me nyama nyina she. Then ka me bibia ewa ha say.
Say no near much I say wash no wash ne boa e say
enema ma hwe kra de bro 70 million
7,000 Ghana
ebisanya shop no mienu a ebom a nema ewom
shops mienu
ebom say ni nyina hye
na say no den na wonim efa sania eja na start here den na o maka tremo
sania eja na start here dey tam start here no na minni ha eti your friends say jatom na chese di husana na yenum say start free ha say eti ni enum say ebeba crisis here ni hu ya ne say chese aba be pia be hye nem say shop ha nyina ahye e obi
service 2 cars ana na aba. First one be omubie hwinim ombie hwinim. Second one so ombie 3 minutes na asa. After the start stage anu spread ko. Obi akura nim se jan kura betimi aduru ha.
It is just a fire service by and Jan and Darren bedru high.
No akura.
It's about time be na omode car no be buy say na nsuo ma omutimi start the year juma.
Tama 2 cars in by now, one more shot to insurance. Another 2 by around bed 214. Okay, 214. Tiano, and also by still 2 cars in about Munya Babia, or back when that is Sonade. Afa, Babia see. Perfect is now some of the Mus I come back by an own Pedacos now, Bakuja, so still a journey to me. No, Jana to me, I share abedu ase
en teacher say ahye finfini ho abedu ha ma bibia
ahye obia no wonyam ne niama
enti wo a woton drinks say no wo hwa ka be say no abo
oh ma boka mintimi sisi kura.
So those are the scenes here. We're going to be speaking to more people who have been here, who have lost property, but you can hear a lot of them complaining about the reaction, the lack of swiftness when it comes to the fire service. I was, speaking to some of them earlier, but they refused to actually get interactive with us. But the general complaint here is that the fire service didn't react quickly enough. In fact, 2 of their vehicles came through without being able to do anything, and that is what supposedly has led to the fire raging all the way to this point where all of those in this market area have lost property. Let's move on and interact with some other people who are selling here, who are traders here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name? I'm
called Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, what do you sell here?
Actually, I don't sell, these are my aunties here, but I think I'm a proper eyewitness to how it all started. And honestly speaking, the fault is really, really great. Because if I'm to examine how it all started and what I am seeing right now, trust me, brother, I didn't expect what I'm seeing.
Why? Why do you say you didn't expect it?
Because from the start of the whole thing, all my expectation was this fire is going to be quenched in no time.
Wow.
Because it started just from a very simple spot.
Where did it start? Did you see it when it started? Where did it start from? Where exactly?
Exactly, it started from the toilet zone.
Right.
Which is about 100 meters from here. So how this could even get to this point it shocks everybody. People still try their possibility to rescue their things even down to this point because they never believed it will get to this place. When they are seeing about 4, 5, 6, even more fire service vehicles here, that they are all believing that, oh, by all means, things are going to be in place. But I believe that they were not able to get a proper link to where the fire directly is coming from. That was what made everything becomes very, very bad. So it's my biggest advice, if this market is going to be in place again, they should give every possible space, should in case there is an emergency, because that is the topmost advice I can ever give to the government. Should in case there is going to be a market here, they are going to put this place together, there should be an emergency link that the fire service can be able to use to penetrate and put things in order should in case there is an emergency. Because to put properties, to put things together here is not easy. And you just look at them burning just like that. So that is my biggest advice. Should in case this market will be set up again, they should make sure that there are 2 or 3 different links where the government can be able, the fire service can be able to get access into the system should in case there is an emergency. Please, maybe they should look into the KETIA market at Kumasi and give us something like that here too. Maybe it will be able to help us better, because constructing woods here, any little spark, when there are a lot of food sellers here too as well. Everybody use gas cylinders. Not everyone, but almost everyone. So we just have to consider that as well.
But isn't that a problem as well? The very people who sell here, I'm talking about gas cylinders, almost everybody is cooking and all of that, because a lot of these people, they spend the entire day here. So they cook here, they basically live here, some of them. That is part of the problem. I mean, having so many gas cylinders here, illegal electrical, works and all of that. Even the lanes can be made, but if those habits continue, if they persist, obviously there will be more fires. Don't you think so?
Yeah, but this is what I have to say. The same safetiness all of us will try to play at our various homes, where we also have cylinders. We should be able to play the same safety here, because that is what they do to survive. What is going to make them change their duty, their works, all in the name of fire?
Yes, but the people, will they be ready to comply? If you told them not to bring gas cylinders here, or if you told them not to engage in electrical, illegal electrical wiring, will they comply? Because in the past, fires have gutted this place, yet they still continue doing that.
Brother,
So how about those who sell here? They also have some blame to bear, don't they?
sir, I agree to all that you are saying. If we all want to work against this, bro, I tell you the truth. If the system, the management of this market stand to say this is what we want, definitely the people around will comply by it.
Well, thank you very much, and sorry for your loss, the loss of your aunties. But
it's so great.
What exactly do your aunties sell here?
She sells foods alongside with drinks. So much she has lost. We tried all our efforts. We were rather helping people from the other hand, not knowing it will still get to our turn. We were bringing their things down to our hand.
And all of those things have got burnt.
You can all see for yourself. We ran for our lives. We all ran for our life. When we got to a point that we packed things, we got tired. When you lose your physical strength, what else? See, I just poured water on my body just to get some little strength.
Because you were too hot.
Bro, I can't even carry my feet. I can't carry it properly.
What stories have you heard of just how much people have lost in terms of, quantifying them in monetary terms? I've spoken to people who have lost, items worth over 20,000 Ghana cedis, 30,000 Ghana cedis, 7,000 Ghana cedis. What stories have you heard this morning?
All right, I will start with my hands. I know my hand has lost so much. I don't poke nose into people's affair, but if it is about what I've heard, I'm sure millions have lost in this place. To be very honest, millions have been swallowed by fire here.
How long do you think it's going to take? What do you think it's going to take to recover from this mess as a market, as traders? How much do you think we'll have to go into this to bring this market back to life?
Big bro, maybe I should say, with the help of God, the government, maybe everyone can get back to their feet in the next 10 years.
In the next 10 years?
With hard work, with a lot of hard work.
Thank you. Thank you very much for interacting with us this morning. So more scenes from the rubble, if you like. You can see all the smoldering pieces of wood, the fire still raging in some pockets, and of course, a mass of debris here. Even the roofing sheets are on fire, different kinds of roofing sheets, the slaty types, the metallic, the aluminium types, and it is all chaotic. It is all a big mess. But maybe one question that we ought to be considering: how did all of this happen, and what exactly can we do to stop it? It's still unclear what exactly triggered the fire, whether it was an electrical fault or a gas leakage that resulted in the fire. We've got different accounts that have been given to us, but the point remains that this market has gone up in flames, and nobody wants a repeat of this. In fact, if you look just ahead, you will see a gas cylinder right in front of you. A gas cylinder right now in your shot. Who knows? Who knows what exactly happened? And with all of these gas cylinders in different kiosks, in different stalls, obviously, if the fire, no matter how it started, if it got to any of them, there would have been explosions, follow-up explosions, and that has resulted in the mess, the wreckage that we see here this morning in Odona. Very sad scenes indeed. Very sad scenes. My eyes are smarting owing to the smoke. The fire is just unbearable, but we're bringing you as close to the action as we can right here from the Odona.
That's Benjamin Akapo there with that report of the fire that started at about midnight. But we've been speaking with one of the firefighters on the ground. Here's what he had to say.
You are said, assuming me and you are running a shop. I go in the morning, you come in the night. When you come in the night, what do you do before you take over?
Tell me.
I should tell you, yes. Definitely, if we are running a shop, whatever sales I've made, you check the where's a goods that has left before you can take over. You can continue from wherever I come from. So the appliances there, those operational men running it, when they come in the morning, they will check whether oil is inside, fuel is inside, water is inside. So there's no way appliance will move from a station to a fire scene and there's no water. At times, you will see our appliances replenishing elsewhere. Wherever any appliances go and discharge water, you need to fill it before it comes back to the station. So there's no way appliance will move from the station and then to the fire scene, you will tell me there's half water. Secondly, the way the public sees the size of the tender, they thought every place is full of water. All the tenders that we have, when it's fully charged, when we run our hose and it's fully charged, they open all the delivery. Within 5 minutes, whatever inside is in the appliance will finish. Our biggest tanker is 3,000. And I'm telling you, within 5 minutes, when we fully open the hose, 5 minutes, it will get empty. So even when we get to the fire scene, we control the water. And then when we look at the size of the fire, we call for reinforcement to come and assist. So there's no way a tender will move from the station to the fire scene.
So I'm sure that is what the people saw here, and they are mistakenly saying that it was here for about 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then it ran out of water. That's what they are seeing.
That's what they are saying. I've told you, within 5 minutes when we open the food delivery, it will be empty. So even when you are the scene, you decide to go to the runabout, before you come and I'm telling you the water is finished, you tell me it's empty. That's what they are seeing.
But you had to use a certain vantage point to shoot the water. Even earlier today, I saw it because there was no access, right?
Exactly. And even fighting fire, as I'm standing here, and there's a fire in this building, this store, I intend to start to flash the water on it. It doesn't get to the seat of the fire. So even I can throw half of the water and that fire will not go off unless I see the seat of the fire. So even like you are saying, when they were standing far away shooting the water was not hitting the fire. So still it will be rigid. So it gets to access of the fire before it can put off.
So do you have reinforcements that is coming now?
As at now, like I told you, the PRO can tell you number of appliances that have come to the scene. I can't tell you number of appliances that have come.
Looking at the scene here, how long do you think it will take before we can actually
so honestly,
break this fire? Because when you go around, there are still pockets of fire. Look.
So hello. These fires cannot spoil anything. Whatever you are seeing, it can't spoil anything. And even when we put it off, there's nothing we can take out of it. So it has left with patches of fires. Definitely we will fight it till it goes off before we leave.
Now, 2 persons have been reported dead after they suffered various degrees of burns in a fire incident at an LPG filling point of the Mighty Energy gas station in the Volta Region Capital Hall. Some 13 persons who also suffered burns are being treated at the Ho Teaching Hospital. Efforts are being made to refer some of the victims to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for further medical attention. Fred Kwame Asare has more in the following report.
The unfortunate incident occurred in the early hours of Wednesday, 11th November 2020. It took the swift response and intervention of the Ghana National Fire Service to put out the fire and prevent it from spreading to other departments of the facility. However, 15 persons, including pump attendants, suffered burns between 60% and 97%. Unfortunately, 2 of the victims have been reported dead, while the rest 13 are receiving treatment at the Ho Teaching Hospital. Dr. John Tampori is the Ho Teaching Hospital Acting Chief Executive Officer.
It's just not right to have as many as 13 lying close to one another. They will be infecting one another. And if you look, you saw that on the right, the first one's infection has set in. The skin is dirty, has already infection. So what we are going to do is to isolate those from the rest, because it will spread to the rest. So if you remember, the head of department was saying that they have taken that decision, even though they hadn't consulted. So I said, fine, I mean, this is a professional thing, so do it, and you have my support. So they are moving them out to a different place so as to reduce. And there must be enough air, light, and so it all helps with recovery. And there are even special beds that you have in such centers. It's like water boiling. So you see, when the skin that is not healthy is attached to a place for long, it forms a sore. But with those kind of beds, because of the changing, they are not having direct and constant touch. So sore formation, which we call bed sores, are limited. And so these people recover faster and are able to go back to do whatever they do. They are negotiating already with Kolebu. They have a very good facility to see whether they can take a few of them so that we can have much more time for the few that will remain. So efforts are being made in that direction.
Nonetheless, the Volta Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, Divine Boson, made a personal donation of 2,000 Ghana cedis to the victims.
Today, and it is very, very horrible. I was even dropping tears at the hospital. I was dropping tears because looking at the condition of the people, how they were feeling the pain, you can see it on their face and everything. I realized it was not just a mere disaster or any disaster that we've been battling with. This is a gas explosion at a filling station. I couldn't help than to sign a check of 2,000 to support them, and I'm calling on every well-meaning Ghanaian, every well-meaning Voltarian, everybody living in Ghana watching this news to come to my aid or to the aid of the victims at the hospital.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Who?
Away from that, we're going to discuss, if not the most trending subject, one of the most trending subjects in Ghana, and has to do with the resignation of Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu. He gave us details of the reasons why he decided to quit his job, and the president has a response. Deputy head of our political desk, Winston Amwa, is here with me, and we'll be taking the issues claim by claim and get the response as well. So the president says it's perplexing that Mr. Martin Amidu would say that he had interfered with his work. And you may recall that Mr. Amidu resigned on Monday, alleging interference by the president and lack of logistics to do his work. Well, in the 9-page, 40-point response, President Akufo-Addo, among other things, describes the claims as untenable and perplexing. So let me bring you Mr. Martin Amidu's claim on independence of his office. So he says, Your Excellency was acting as a judge in your own course, usurping my functions to take any independent follow-up actions on the anti-corruption assessment report. Well, the president says your accusation of interference is perplexing. And he says, Mr. Martin Amidu says, we now fundamentally disagree on non-partisan professional approach to the prevention of corruption and fighting corruption to make it a high-risk enterprise for public office. So let's take all the claims under claim one. We'll take all the claims and then we come for the response of the president. All right. So, yes, we come back to that. And here also the president says your accusation of interference is perplexing. Winston has details of the response of the president, and you run us through all the bit on interference in the work of Mr. Martin Amidu. Winston.
Yeah, so, Benes, let's just start off with the point about the president being a judge in his own course, because that's point 40, the response is in point 40. And according to the executive secretary to the president in his response, he says, now, your accusation of the president being a judge in his own course, he said, this is the unkindest cut of all. You did not and have not alleged that the president is or could be the subject of adverse finding or investigations arising from your assessment of the report. Now, it says, it beggars belief, therefore, that you would insinuate that the president has himself something to hide and thus seeks to be a judge in his own cause. According to Nana Santibedietu, as a lawyer of many years standards in reference to Martin Amidu, there is no doubt that you know that if one is not a party to or has an interest in a matter, one simply cannot be described as being a judge in his own cause. And this statement is the most regrettable. And that's according to point 40. But if you start from point 1, now, the president in responding to this, or the presidency in responding to it, actually makes a reference that the special prosecutor himself In submitting his letter to the president, he says, and I quote here, "This has been made possible by the courage and commitment of His Excellency the President of Ghana in redeeming the promise he made to Ghanaians when he was a presidential candidate of a political party to establish an independent anti-corruption statutory entity to make meaningful any real commitment to prevent or to fight corruption." And it would continue to show, for instance, that when Mr. Martin Amidu talks about happenings on the 21st of October. Now, there's a bit of a discrepancy here because Mr. Martin Amidu talks about the 23rd of October when he actually met the president. But the response says the 21st October, just so we can understand it. And point 6 will say, at the meeting of the 21st of October 2020, you, that's Martin Amidu, according to the Office of the President, conceded not having given the appointees of the President affected by your report a hearing or an opportunity to comment on your observations and conclusions. In accordance with the constitutional standards of fairness, reasonableness, and candor, the President requested you to give the public officials in question an opportunity to comment on your findings and conclusions. Fidelity to the principle of fairness is a basic tenet of administrative justice, and a request to comply with the rules of natural justice and fair hearing surely cannot be cited as a basis for alleging interference. It continues to say that, look, it was pursuant to the clear concession on the need to give the public officers whose conduct had been impugned by a report an opportunity to be heard on the matter that the President requested comment from the finance minister. So the President is saying, look, at that point in time, I didn't compel you to do anything. You conceded, okay, and says, look, in any event, and this is point 7, it is pertinent to point out that without compulsion, you agreed to the President's request to offer the public officers affected by your work an opportunity. This is because Martin Amidu had stated in his letter on page 2, the first paragraph, that when the President, told him to do that, he indicated to the President that he did not intend and was not giving him that letter in order for the President to direct him on how to do his work, and his work was not subject to any review, either by the President or the Ministry of Finance. And this is where the President says, I did not compel you. Because Martin Amidu says he reluctantly, but the President is saying, look, I did not compel you to do anything.
And they even go on to talk about the fact that they didn't request a report on the Ejapa royalties. So Mr. Amidu did the report and voluntarily offered it to the President. And so they asked, why did you bring it to the President then if you didn't want to hear comments on the work that you had done? And also there's a bit of discrepancy again, and this time they make reference to a letter he wrote to the Chief of Staff where he talks about how he's still in office because of the respect he has for the President. And so they find it the presidency finds it a bit interesting that he would now come to say that the President had interfered with his work. But it's important to note that that August letter was prior to the letter he sent on the Ejapa deal. Just to make that point clear. Okay.
And so point 10 also says something. And the presidency, in saying, look, we did not interfere with you, says it must be emphasized that in respect of Ejapa, you have never made any claim of interference in your work by the President. Indeed, even when you erroneously, listen to this, and without moral or legal basis decided to confer immunity from investigation and prosecution on former President John Dramani Mahama in connection with the infamous €5 million Airbus bribery affair by refusing to investigate him on the clearly untenable grounds of his being a candidate for President. Neither the President nor any member of the executive challenged that strange exercise of your discretion. Surely, according to the presidency, this was in furtherance of the protection of the independence of your office, and it is stranger still that you would now suggest that the President, who some may argue would have benefited politically from your prosecution of John Mahama, has interfered with your independence by suggesting that you apply the rules of natural justice to officials concerned with the Ejapa assessment. And so they continue, they conclude on a bit of interference by saying that they are constrained to point out that your claim of being a belief that you dared to write the Ejapa report, which consequently led to the alleged interference with your mandate, cannot be correct because, as noted already, the President welcomed the report and acted on it solely within his his mandate.
Yeah, and they even quote the part of the Constitution under which the president has the authority to do that, because Mr. Martin Amidu brought him the report. Winston, just a while ago on the Super Morning Show, you spoke to Information Minister Kojo Ponkruma, and he had something to say about reactions to the response of the president. You also spoke to Bright Simmons, who also shared his thoughts about logistics especially. Let's take Mr. Amidu's claim on logistics, take the president's reaction, and then bring in the other reaction. So let's take the claim on resources. That's claim 2 by Mr. Martin Amidu. So he says one cannot seriously continue to prevent and fight corruption by depending on seconded staff on a 2-year duration, renewable for another year, who are looking forward to and or over their shoulders to returning to their main employers, who consequently may have more influence over them than the special prosecutor under whom they are supposed to work. So here's the response then. Contrary to the impression that you regularly create in the public, your office was solely responsible for the failure to recruit. This is coming from the president. I'll come to you, Winston, to give us more details on that. What you're seeing on the screen is just a summary or portions of that letter we've picked. But there's more to the claim on logistics and resources. And this says your 2019 budget was higher than that of some ministries, but was approved and appropriated for the office. Indeed, your behavior in the acquisition of suitable accommodation for the office of the special prosecutor remains inexplicable and unwarranted. Let's start off on that bit, on office or accommodation for special prosecutor, because it's really interesting, Winston. What do we have from that letter from the presidency?
Well, so let's get to, the presidency's letter, and they would make reference to correspondence between the presidency and the office of the special prosecutor as far as 2018, following his appointment as special prosecutor. And it says, look, now you sought to blame the housing of the office of the special prosecutor in a 3-bedroom boys' quarters accommodation on the government. And this is point 23. Once again, the real facts do not bear out on your assertion and insinuations out, and it is evident that the responsibility for this situation can be attributable to your good self. And it says on 17 September 2018, a meeting was held at the office of the Chief of Staff, at which you were present to explore means of addressing the urgent challenges of the office of the Special Prosecutor, and one of which undoubtedly was accommodation. According to the response, a committee was set up to identify a building suitable for housing your office. And the committee set out immediately to embark on a search for accommodation of the office. Now, it continues that the next day, on the 18th of September, in a cluster of buildings consisting of a 2-story building and 2 single-story buildings were identified opposite the bank hospital at cantonments. Now, on 20th September, and it's important we keep the dates in mind, 20th September, the committee, together with the Deputy Chief of Staff, and your good self, here referring to Martin Amidu, your secretary and other staff of your office inspected buildings. And after inspection, you expressed satisfaction with the buildings. A team from the Ministry of Works and Housing immediately took measurements and was ready to undertake the necessary alterations to meet the specific demands of your office. Now, on 21st September, and that's point 27, you invited a team from the Architectural Engineering Services Limited to inspect and expedite action on the renovation works. Surprisingly, on 4th October 2018, you, and that's Martin Amidu, according to the letter or response from the presidency, places a telephone call to the Chief of Staff to indicate preference for another building belonging to the erstwhile Ghana National Trading Corporation, close to the British High Commission at Ridge, instead of the cluster of buildings opposite the bank hospital. And it says on the same 4th October, the Chief of Staff, by a letter reference, and it states the reference, instructed the Ministry of Trade and Industry to release the said building to your office. And it continues by saying that, so in order to secure the building for your office, the office of the president actually constructed a fence wall to ward off encroachers while processes were initiated to award the contract for the renovation of the building to the contractor. And then we are told that on the 19th, so this was going on, but it says while the renovation of the GNTC building was underway, you halted the works and requested that a 10-story building at Ridge belonging to Get Fund rather be renovated instead of the one that you had earlier indicated. And so this is at the last place where Mr. Amidu said he wanted, and renovation was done according to the presidency. On the 19th of April, 2019, reps from the Office of the Special Prosecutor and officers from Consa Limited and Messrs. Evans and Foreman Associates met to conduct a joint inventory and inspection of defects. And Mr. Amidu subsequently generated his own list of defects contained in 8-page document, and we're told the contractor nonetheless graciously accepted, compared and matched with the defects earlier jointly identified.
Yeah. So, I mean, the points go on and on and on. You can get the full text on my Joy Online, but conclude this bit on the building for us.
So it says that then in July 2020, the presidency or the chief of staff sends a messenger, to actually present office keys. So let me just quote verbatim to you. It says, by letter dated 29 July, the Chief of Staff informed you that Get Fund building was ready for occupation of your office and requested a convenient date to hand over the building. You refused to do so, and in a letter, so Martin Amidu refuses, and in a letter dated August 2020, states that it is my considered view that if your proposal for handing over the Get Fund building to the Office of the Special Prosecutor was wittingly made on a settled conviction that you have been able to secure a fitting accommodation with all the divisions for occupation by the OSP, then the proposal ought to have been made to the President to fix a date for the commission. Mr. Amidu says, when the key was handed over to him, that if you are giving me the accommodation, let the President come and commission the accommodation, as it is done
with others,
so that we can occupy. So the keys that were sent to him, by a messenger, Mr. Amidu refuses to take the key and returns it to the Chief of Staff.
All right, thank you very much, Winston. Clearly, there's a lot more in that document, and I'll keep pointing you to myjoyonline.com for that full document. But we've been picking reactions. Bright Simmons on the Super Morning Show spoke about the issue of logistics for the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And he says, when you have a major political commitment, you do a major preparatory work. It took the government 7 months to address the issue of logistics. We should be mindful of the space the Special Prosecutor, Martin Amidu, was operating, and that's Bryce Simmons with Imani Africa. And he says the government made a sudden attempt to resolve issues that Mr. Martin Amidu had raised some years ago. He thinks it's very clear. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah had this to say in reaction. He says, first of all, it's important to state clearly that we've not sought to lay blame at the doorstep of the former Special Prosecutor, Martin Amidu. Emphasizes we've not done that. And this was on the bit of logistics and who was responsible and on and on. And he says you cannot initialize the Office of the Special Prosecutor and hand it to them to use. Mr. Amidu had literally informed the world that we failed to initialize the office for him, which is difficult to understand. It's according to government. There's nothing like initializing the Office of the Special Prosecutor. There's nothing like that. We shouldn't mince words. And trust me, I know that this will continue in the media space. Thank you very much, Winston Amo, as Deputy Head of our Political Desk, trying to break down that response from the presidency from us. And in subsequent bulletins, you'd hear more and more reactions. But the Ghana Integrity Initiative thinks that it is important to get a replacement for Special Prosecutor in order to allow the work that has started continue. You're watching News Desk with me, Benis Abubedu-Lansa. Coming up shortly in business, government urges the Ghana Union of Traders Association to leave the closure of foreign-owned retail shops to its tax force. Darryl Kwao has details shortly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Trade Minister Alan Kyerematen is asking the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, to leave the closure of shops of foreign traders to the retail committee that has been set up by government. He says government does not want the traders to undertake the shutting down of shops of foreigners who violate Ghana's retail trade laws, but rather leave them in the hands of the committee. The minister made the appeal during the inauguration of the Central Region branch of the Ghana Union of Traders Association in Cape Coast Richard Kodinyako has more.
In a speech read on his behalf by the Technical Advisor Domestic Trade, Intim Donko, the Minister of Trade, Alan Chemanting, emphasized how the African Continental Trade Agreement was going to help boost businesses in Ghana come January when the kick starts. The Trade Minister assured government had set up a retail committee that is considering the concerns of Guta and urged the traders to allow the committee undertake the closure of the shops of foreigners who are violating the retail laws of the country.
Guta's outcry that foreigners are taking over trading activities reserved for Ghanaian traders has come to government's attention. The Committee on Foreigners in Retail Trade, CFRT, set up by the Ministry as directed by His Excellency the President, comprising representatives of various regulatory agencies and institutions, has been tasked with the responsibility of conducting inspections of retail shops in designated commercial districts in various cities and towns to ensure compliance with the retail laws and regulations. Your association is also kindly reminded that you should leave the work in the hands of the Retail Trade Committee. And from now onwards, please kindly stop locking shops. We will do that for you.
Guta President Dr. Joseph Obin called for peace from the political actors in the upcoming elections so the business environment in Ghana could be secured.
It should be noted that businesses are the worst affected in the event of any civil unrest that may destabilize the country. We should recognize the fact that all citizens of Ghana have equal stake as far as the country is concerned.
Regional Chairman of Guta, Kofi Makati, appealed for support for traders to enable them stay in business.
To make Ghana competitive, not only in the sub-region, but also in the forthcoming African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, so that we can take advantage of the opportunity that the Continental Free Trade Agreement would offer to enable us to develop and realize our vision.
The new executives of Guta Central Region were outdoored and tasked to perform their functions efficiently, respecting the new offices they hold. Richard Kodinyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Also this morning, aggrieved customers of U-Truck Fund Management have mounted pressure on management of the failed firm to facilitate processes to pay their locked-up funds. Leader of the aggrieved customers, George Kofi Boateng, says an amount of 84 million Ghana cedis is locked up with the fund management firm. They want their funds released. Prince Apia has more.
In 2018, the Securities and Exchange Commission revoked the licenses of 34 fund management and finance houses in Ghana. U-Truck Fund Management was one of the affected. Though the government has voted some money to pay up locked up funds of depositors, aggrieved customers of U-Truck Fund Management say they are yet to be paid. George Kofi Boateng is chairman of the group.
We have to put pressure on him to sort of agree to the liquidation order. Well, I have engaged him for the past 2 years, and we believe so far 84 million Ghana cedis is involved. And they have 34 million Ghana cedis at the CBG. So the good government is willing to make up the difference. And then we have our peace of mind. So why is he not playing games? Why is he not agreeing to the liquidation process? It's up to him. So we have to put pressure on him for him to agree to the liquidation.
According to the customers, the fund management is frustrating them because of its refusal to go into liquidation. Secretary of the group, Martin Boachidanko, warned they will resort to the worst if they do not receive their funds.
Pensioners who put their money there and it's been locked up. Even here, a couple of them have died and some of us who use our pension to give it a youth track, suffering. You know, some of them lost their wives and their husbands. You know, and of course, you know, this COVID period, if you don't have regular income, it's not easy. So pressure must go on to enable us to, you know, get our money. And also, to me, it's not being fair to the government, because the government is willing to pay the money. And then why should you be difficult?
Prince Apia reporting.
And that's it for business. The news continues after this break.